Good morning, everyone. Give me a thumbs up if you could see me in the corner, my video, and you can see my slides. Yay. Thank you, Reverend John. Today's service does talk about loving yourself and accepting yourself in order to be able to be a neighbor to a neighbor. And that's something very important that all of us need to have the strength, especially now in the resolve of having so much asked of us to help each other because of the COVID pandemic, but also we are being called deeply upon to help our neighbors in the Black Lives Matter and in the protests and in the cause for racial justice. We need to find reserves inside of us. And part of that is knowing who we are, knowing our gifts, accepting them, and being able to share. So today's Time for All Ages is kind of a setup. You saw earlier announcements that over the summer we set up some Zoom meetings for the families, and adults are welcome to chime in and join us too, about the book that will be distributed to families today through Tuesday. I'll be making stops, called Ancient Stories for Modern Times. And this is kind of what we're going to be doing. If this was in class, I would have given this story out ahead of time, and I would have asked all the children to make a drawing or costume or a puppet about what their favorite bird is, because this is about birds, crows and partridges. What your favorite bird is, and then people could share it, and why you would want to be that favorite bird. I personally would want to be some type of duck, because I love the water, and I would love to be like gliding, eating algae, hanging out in the woods. So that's the kind of duck I would want to be. So this story today is a Panchanatra tale from India entitled Crow and Partridge. And like I said, as difficult as it can be sometimes, self-acceptance is one of the ingredients necessary for developing friendships and being a good neighbor and leading a happy life. The moral of this story is that don't imitate others, be yourself. You should be yourself. So let me share this story with everyone this morning. And all the crows on the wire behind me are all listening in to my story in my photo. So here we go. I've got a very sad story for you. Crow sat perched in a tree, surveying the world around him. A partridge crossed the path below. Crow watched for a while and thought, what a beautiful way of walking that partridge has. For a moment, he sat mesmerized. Crow noticed that Partridge took tiny steps. He moved his feet quickly and delicately. Crow flew down and landed a little ways behind Partridge. He began to follow along behind Partridge and tried for a very long time to walk just the way that Partridge walked. It was difficult because Crow's feet were much larger than Partridge's. When he tried to take quick, tiny steps, he tripped over his own toes. Finally, Partridge turned around and asked, Crow, what are you doing? Crow said, don't be angry with me. I have never seen a bird walk as beautifully as you. I'm trying to learn to walk like you. Partridge puffed up a little bit with pride, but then he looked at Crow. Wait a minute. I think you're being foolish. You are a crow and you should walk like a crow. You look silly when you try to strut like me. Crow heard Partridge's words but paid no attention to them. He thought he'd be a better bird if only he could move the way Partridge moved. He went on trying to learn. He tried for so long that eventually he forgot how crows were meant to walk. And he never mastered Partridge's walk either. Isn't that sad? Crow never realized how lovely a bird he was. Poor Crow never realized he was the most beautiful when he was himself. The end.